What's going on, everybody? Dark Hour 717, and exciting news. The Star Citizen PTU patch has released a Wave 1, and we should all be seeing now PTU 7618230. And we're going to go over some of the patch notes. There are a lot of new systems coming into this version, and a lot of new things going on with it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and follow on Twitch. And catch our streams every Sunday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, the patch has released to Wave 1, which is going to be your concierge as well as your subscribers. And I am excited about this. There's a ton to go over here. I'm going to cover some of the points. There's a lot more than what I can actually cover here. So, there'll be a link to the patch notes in the description below. Now, as always, they recommend deleting your user folder, as well as you're going to want to make sure that you delete your account from the PTU and recopy it over. And they are showing that persistence is enabled on this, and everybody should be starting out with 15 million AUEC when they get into the PTU verse. Okay, so the testing focus on this patch is actually a number of different points, but one thing they do note beforehand is that the current cloud tech is still in active development, not yet final. And there's going to be some ongoing work there with the SDF occlusion, which is going to help alleviate some of the graphical artifacting, the kind of visual dots that you're seeing in the clouds. And that's noted down below as well in the known issues. So keep that in mind as you're going into the PTU. But again, the testing focuses are going to be obviously Crusader with the Orison landing zone, Connie Taurus, the Law System version 2 with the Surrender, Power Management, Missile Operator Mode, and Radar Scanning and Ping. There are a number of different known issues in this patch. We'll go over a few of those here, but keep in mind, check the patch notes for all the details on everyone. The gas clouds on Crusader appear to have the moving graphical artifacts, as we discussed with the note that they have above the testing focus. The objects and textures in Orison aren't loading very quickly, and single locations only appear if the player spools their drive before setting destination on the star map. Also, various UI markers are faded and hard to read. Unable to scan for, hand mining or rock size mining deposits until you're very close and almost on top of them. Currently, right now, Port Olisar is also missing a QT marker. There's also security ships that don't recognize the illegal goods on board a ship when being carried by a player, which could be good in kind of a way you can carry all the illegal stuff you want and not have to worry about getting caught. Also, they're seeing that after being approved for a docking request, there's no docking UI, so you're gonna have a tough time trying to dock anything on a docking port on any of the stations. And also, they're seeing that the AI at Korea and such will have desync issues. They're finding that players can also clip through the exterior door of the 890 jump while it's at dock, which in 3.13.1 we didn't see that the 890 door really opened, even though you interacted with it and selected open. You still had to walk through the door itself and never actually showed as being open. Other things that are going on: pilots' weapon HUDs are no longer visible after entering or exiting a turret. Cave FPS missions are being withdrawn way too early when you're getting close to the planet or near the cave. And intense fog can also be seen in a docking port interior at all the rest stops when you're docking. They're also seeing AI ship nameplates are missing, showing as just a placeholder. And a big one, missiles can hit the player's ship when they are fired while the ship is moving forward. So be careful, don't shoot yourself while you're firing those missiles off. Lots of new features to look at with these patch notes as well too. Of course, we got Crusader with the Orison landing zone. The new Babbage Hospital interior locations. They've added the interior for the new Babbage Hospital, as well as the Law System V2 Surrender. Now keep in mind with the version 2 Surrender that you'll be able to come to a halt when you're being stopped by the security forces, stop your ship completely, and surrender without losing your life. Now this means that your ship's going to be immediately impounded and you're going to be immediately transferred over to Klesher. Now that is if the ship is yours. Now, if there's anybody else on board your ship, no matter what crime stat or the lack of crime stat they have, they will also be transported to Klesher, so keep that in mind. When you do surrender, surrendering is going to give the player a reduced sentence when sent to prison, but again, all players inside a criminal ship at the time of surrender, regardless of status, is still going to end up going to Klesher with you. Also, in the current setup, players are not able to surrender to other players yet, only to the different security forces throughout the verse. Missile operator mode is another big new feature that's been put in with 3.14. This one in the patch note goes into very deep depth in how it operates and how it works. It's a new operator mode that's going to be used to separate the gun and missile torpedo gameplay within the ship. Using the mode will give pilots more control over what missiles and torpedoes are fired and give them more character and purpose in the combat. In the patch notes, it goes into depth in how to access the operator mode, selecting your ordnance, as well as locking onto a target, firing your ordnance, and definitely recommend checking out the patch notes to get the full in-depth explanation on that. Of course, as we go into the PTU and all that, we'll also be doing some videos on these new features and guides on how to use them. Missile guidance and control also got reworked, converting the missiles to use the new IFCS systems, and this will improve the overall performance and tracking ability and giving greater control over the missile behavior itself. Other great new features are going to be the Connie Taurus, as we talked about. We're looking forward to getting in game and checking that out, as well as the new volumetric clouds as part of the setup for Crusader and Orison. Other feature updates are going to have to do with the gameplay with the new radar scanning and ping setup. They've overhauled all those systems, and definitely, again, just like with the missile operator mode, there is a large in-depth portion in the patch notes on how to look at this. There's also going to be new parts of this that are going to generate blobs. When you have a contact on the radar, it's too far away to get a really strong signal on it, but it detects that something is there, you're going to see a very vague blob show up on your radar, so that you'll at least be able to know that something is there. You're going to have the new UI elements for the infrared, the heat generating entities, as well as the electromagnetic. Picking up on the power draw and generating electrical power, as well as the cross-section representing how visible an entity is based on size and mass, and how reflective the surface of the contact is. The larger a contact is, and of course, the more its profile is going to be presented. Power management is another big part of 3.14. We're going to get into those capacitors, and we're going to be looking at the new key bindings to control the changes, as well as the assignments, setting up F5, F6, F7, F8, and the use of the power triangle within the MFD. This is also going to give a new addition with the capacitor gameplay, with reworks to the ship flight, thruster handling, and shield behavior, and weapon damage and ammo counts, and that's going to bring everything closer to their intended roles within the verse. The other thing that you're going to see in gameplay is, of course, the weapons. Weapon fire rates and damage have increased dramatically. Ammo rates have been significantly reduced. Energy weapons are now going to have limited ammo, which is automatically regenerated when the weapon is not being used. Changing assignment to weapons will make energy weapon regenerate ammo faster. Throttling and overclocking is disabled for the time being and will be reevaluated after 3.14 goes live. Man turrets have their isolated weapon capacitor system, which will regenerate the weapons faster. Now, shields are also getting a full balance rework. Now, this is going to be a big thing because it's going to affect all shields below size 3, turning them into more of a bubble type shield with one shield phase. Now, the other thing that you're going to see with the shield rework is that a lot of ships are going to have their shield generator capacity changed. So you may see ships that are overpowered with shields drop down in size, or number of shield generators on board, or you'll see those that are underpowered go up in size or change the number of shield generators that are on board the ship as well too. So make sure you go in, check your loadouts, outfit them with the new setup and properly. Some good examples: Drake Cutlass Black, your 600i, your Saber's going to change. So check out all those loadouts. There's going to be some reworking and reconfiguring your ships to take full advantage of this. The thruster flight added a separate regenerable pool for boost, which was the afterburner beforehand, and changing the assignment to the thrusters will make the thruster boost bar fill up faster. You can now have that thruster boost bar on your ship's HUD, and it's going to be a little bit different than the way it was before. and there's an added option to automatically enable and disable boosts during the space braking. They've also added a weapon readout on the HUD for each weapon and showing current ammo state, and they've also slightly changed the meaning of the shield display to reflect the power triangle assignment. The power triangle is going to now work as a pure regen distribution function for shields, energy weapons, and thruster boosts. There's also increased detection range of mineable rocks and added a new display option for party nameplates. But of course, with the known issues, we know that the detection range of the mineable rocks for hand mining and rock mining has been negatively affected, and it's popping up at much shorter range. Ship and vehicle changes within 3.14. You're going to find that the canvas slice ship HUD is now active on your ships, and definitely that's something I'm looking forward to. I definitely like the look of the new HUD, and it's providing a better layout that maximizes the screen real estate and provides more info and depth to the pilots. Players will now see a universal bearing along the top edge. Pitch ladder has moved from the center of the player vision to along the right side, and they've added a 3D velocity and acceleration meter on the bottom corner. Another big change within the ships and vehicles is claiming a ship is no longer going to restock your missiles or torpedoes. So when you spawn a ship in and you had to claim it because it was destroyed, lost, or whatever, you're now going to have to make sure before you take off that you go into your mobiGlas and restock that ship's ammo as well as missiles. So it's not going to come fully recouped when you claim it. So keep that in mind as you're playing. But one of the big bug fixes they did do is fix that ability of restock on pads at the different stations and ports. They've also got updates for the law and prison system. Basically, they've fixed the access code so it doesn't automatically regen on a failed attempt, and inadvertently lock you out from being able to use any access code when you're trying to escape from Klesher. So the fans should be working again, and you should be able to use that code, and it should properly update as it's supposed to. Also, crime for assaulting a security officer should no longer be given outside of a monitored zone, and knockouts are no longer going to kill. And another big one, destroying a party member's empty vehicle is no longer going to give you a crime stat. So I know that we've encountered that in Amarok's Fang quite a bit, and it'll be nice to see that we don't have to worry about that crime stat going forward if we destroy the unmanned ship. They've also updated the main menu background video as well as the graphic settings additions, with adding new graphic settings that will help give more control over your experience in the persistent universe, adding the volumetric cloud graphics options, as well as a low, medium, and high spawning distance for scattered objects. So check those out in your game settings and play around with those so that you can get those set to get the most out of your system. And again, we'll go over all of this in guides once it's actually in live, and how to set these and what we find are actually some of the best settings to go with. Now, major bug fixes that they have, there is a lot here. Again, check out the patch notes for all the full details and everything. There are definitely some key ones here that I'm excited about. The first one is my friends list will finally work again. They've actually fixed the friends list in game, so it should no longer be capped at a maximum of 50 friends and having to delete out and re-add every time you want to try and party up when you have friends that are getting on that are not in that initial 50. You should also be seeing the loading screens no longer being large and zoomed in on aspect ratios higher than that 16:9 ratio. Miles Eckhart should now function properly and update his missions and be able to take on his missions to get to that Idris again. Ramming another player while in the borders of your own pad should no longer impound your ship. It should still impound the person that is attacking you, but yours should not be impounded. And ships should no longer fail to restock ammo and missiles or torpedoes when using the restocking services. This again plays into that. When you claim a ship and bring it out to the pad or in a hangar, you need to make sure that you restock those before you leave, or else you will be flying empty or at whatever your last loadout was. Also, oxygen levels should no longer start to deplete after using QT in a ship, which will be a big one because I keep suffocating, and I will be happy not to continue doing so. They also fixed an issue causing players to not persistent spawn back inside their ship, making them have to reclaim it if their client crashes when within an armistice zone. They also fixed the multi-tool dispense from the commissary out at Klesher. They also did a workaround fix for the SEU amount displayed for the 890's cargo capacity, so it should no longer be reading incorrectly at 32 SEU. And weapons now placed in ship weapon lockers should now persist in all ships correctly when it has been stored and retrieved, but keep in mind, if you claim or you destroy your ship, lose your ship, or anything like that, you will lose those weapons. So me personally, I don't generally put anything in there at this time because I crash a lot. Large ships that are attempting to auto-land in rest stop and orbital station hangars should no longer become stuck, and that was generally because when you go into that hangar, you hit auto-land, it tries to spin you around. So apparently they've got that fixed to where it should just land you, and you're not going to be flipped around and get wedged in there and get stuck, or even worse, get destroyed, because I have blown up inside the hangar trying to do that. They've also fixed the grenade throwing, where you throw it and it pops back up in your hand due to desync, and that has been taken care of. I have definitely experienced that myself. They've also fixed the bartenders in all of the rest stop bars. They will be there now. They should no longer be missing, so you should be able to get a drink when you're in between different missions and want to just go get a beer. They've also fixed an issue causing players to be unable to claim their ships from the ASOP terminal claim button. I know several members of Auec Spain have ran into this. I have not personally, but it is listed in the patch notes that it has been fixed at this time, so we'll keep our eye on that, and hopefully we will see that. Also, cruise control speed will no longer ignore the limiter when a player gets out of the pilot seat. So if you set cruise control and you get out of the seat, it will not exceed that cruise control limit that you've set. They've also made it so wiping the helmet visor will now correctly clear the icing. Visual effects impairing the player's vision. The power triangle should now function and be interacted with within the MFD, which goes back to that power management setting. It is now not just a pretty picture, but is actually functioning and can be used for the different things within that power management section that we talked about. Also, if you accidentally fly into a restricted zone within Area 18, it's no longer going to take over control and fly you directly into the ground, which will be great. People will have a chance to recoup. Those that are getting in with cargo or also with mining stuff, hopefully that will keep a few deaths from happening there. So overall, that's a number of different bug fixes that they have in this. It's actually an extremely large list. Recommend checking out the patch notes to get the full details on everything. They've also got listed that in the technical side, they fixed 8 client crashes, fixed 4 server crashes, as well as a server deadlock. So definitely, something to check out when you have the time for a lengthy read. A lot of great information in there, and I recommend it to everybody. But hope everybody has a chance to get into Wave 1 that has access, and leave comments below with what your thoughts, what your experience is, and let me know how it's going for you. We're going to be doing the same here at Auec Fang and going in and checking it out, and we'll be doing a couple of videos as well as our next stream within the PTU. So I want to thank everybody for checking out the video. I hope everyone's enjoying the game.